I'm Will Brown, and welcome to the WPQuickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks, 30 minutes or less. And in this lunchtime quickie, I'm going to be looking at the new 2022 theme, the default theme that was shipped with WordPress 5.9. Just my views, we'll look at some of the content that's shipped with it, and just see how we go from there. So thanks very much for taking your time to join me today. Do hit the social buttons, the subscribes, the likes, the LinkedIn connections, all that sort of stuff, and so you can connect with me. And drop your name and where you're from in the comments, and we'll see who is online today. We have Future Shock from Marrickville. Good to see you, good to meet you in person at the last WordPress meetup, which was fantastic. And we have Dowie on top of IT services, and from a sunny, soggy Sydney. The sun has started to come out, thankfully. I've got Jean from the Central Coast. I've got Norman as well from Epping, and Mr. Meowgoose. It says, audio sounds a bit different today. Let me just see if I can clear that up. Hopefully that sounds a little bit okay. Is everyone okay with my audio? I kind of moved the mic a little bit closer, and I've changed a few things. Hopefully the sound is okay. Just a few housekeeping things. So we have our Facebook group. So just search for WordPress Sydney Meetup from there. And just if you are viewing this live broadcast from within Facebook, make sure you go to streamer.com/Facebook, and it links your Facebook with that. So sound looks a little bit different. Let me just check. I'll just check my sound and audio. There we go. Okay. How does that sound? Does that sound a bit? I've been switching cameras, so it probably changed to the one of the webcams. How does that sound? Does that sound any better? Hopefully the quality is a little bit better today. You can let me know in the comments if that's coming through a lot better than before. Okay, so Facebook group done. Better. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Much better. That was picking up from my little webcam. So I've been switching webcams around, so it must have defaulted to that, but I'm back on here. Okay, WPAustralia.org, go and visit there, and it tells you all the WordPress meetups. There's also a link to join our Slack group. I'll leave that up for a second. You can view that in your own time. But more importantly, what's coming up at the end of this month, so we're still running our WordPress Sydney evening meetups. We had our physical meetup last Monday, which was fantastic. We had about 20 people there, which was really good. And we're doing the same next month. So next month is the last Monday of March, which is the 28th. We're going to be at the Microsoft Reactor, which is down by Wynyard. And we're going to be talking about setting up WooCommerce. This is a beginner's one. Going through WooCommerce, how to install it, go through the setup wizard, and all the different areas that you need to do to set up your shop properly. So please do come along, and that's the end of March, the 28th at 6 p.m. at the Microsoft Reactor. As always, looking for tips, so if you've got any topics that you'd like to wait to talk about in about 30 minutes or 20 minutes, please fill out those forms and get those to me. And just as always, all the links afterwards, I curate all the links and put them into the video description or the comments down below, so you'll be able to find all of those. And please do drop some comments throughout the chat, just to let me know where anything that kind of comes to mind. Just drop them in the comments. I'll try and answer them as best as I can and circle around them at the end of the prezzo. Okay, let's get into it. So WordPress 5.9, there's actually WordPress 5.9.1 now. So that dropped last month, and as is tradition with WordPress, towards the end of the kind of release cycle, if it's a new year, then they put in a new default theme. And the one that they bundled in this one is 2022. It's a little bit different in that it is a block theme, and it includes the full site editing. Now, I covered full site editing last week in the WPQuickies, and this one's got a little bit more focus on the actual theme itself. So let's have a look inside the theme and see some of the stuff that's in there. Excuse me. Okay, let's just go down here. Okay. Now, 2022, a lot of people tend to skip the default themes that come with WordPress, but I say this one's a little bit different because it's a block theme. It's got full site editing in it as well, and it's been built with that in mind. So the theme develop leader, who is Kel Reichstadt, hopefully I pronounced that name properly, He says that the birds, excuse me, the birds outside his window actually served as inspiration for this 2022. So you'll see when you have a look, when you fire up the 2022 theme, if you install it at a default WordPress installation, and there's a lot of birds around about, lots of nice colored, beautiful birds flying around. Now, he envisions this theme as being light, being reliable, being resilient, and a little bit playful, just like some little birds that he was watching out the window as well. So that's a little bit of background, a little bit of inspiration. That's quite nice that he had that little comment. Now, if you're a developer and if you want to look through the code, please do. Head over to the GitHub repository. You can find that at github.com/WordPress, which is all the WordPress stuff in there, and then /2022, all one word. And there's a picture of it up there. I'll see if I can drop a link in the comments. Okay, I'll do that. Copy link. Not working today. There we go. Okay, so yeah, definitely have a look through the code. It's a little bit different in the way it's set up to a traditional WordPress theme, so it'd be quite interesting to see what your thoughts are on the setup for that. Okay, so 2022, it boasts 6 global palette styles, which I thought sounds pretty cool. Now, what I thought initially, so this is a video from the WordPress.com, that's the 2022 theme site. And it has this little video in it. Now, what I thought that you'd be able to click on a button at the right-hand side and switch theme-wide all these different colors. I thought that'd be really, really cool, like a global click this button and you get these color combinations. So I went looking for it for ages and I couldn't find it. So what that little thing at the top here is, you'll see it when you actually go into 2023. And what it shows you what your background color, what your text color, and what your link are. So these are not buttons that you click and it magically changes all your color palette. So that's something that I thought would be really, really cool. I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't in there, but that's what those are, just in case you come across. So we'll only be one of those, the big A with the small a, and that just tells you your current default background color and the links and the text color as well. It's like a visual representation. But it does have lots of colors within there, very kind of natural colors, so like dusky greens, some kind of dusky pink, some browns and stuff for there. So it's a very, very different type of color palette, not something that I've really seen before. It's quite funky. It does stand out quite a bit. Now, I activated on my demo. Is this going? Next one. There we go. Now, I installed a brand new WordPress 5.9 test site, which looked quite good. For those, so this is the first when you edit the template. So this is the home page. So this is me within the full site editor at the moment, just editing the 2022 theme. And we can see here that it kind of defaults onto a very black palette, and those little A's at the top right hand corner, so that just tells you the background color is white. And then the link is, the text is black and the links are pretty black too for those. And underneath, you can see we've got your typography. So you can click on typography and change the fonts. There's colors as well. So that's where you get access to the color palette. And there's the layout there as well. And that gives you access to the header and the footer, which is brand new in 2022. It's all kind of bundled in this full site editor. Okay, now, I understand that the editor is a place that kind of this is kind of beta, it's kind of new for those, and it's meant to kind of replace certain functions that live in the customizer. So when you install 2022, the customizer link actually disappears. Okay, now that might be a bit of a change to people, and I'm not 100% keen on this idea, because I think there's some things, some blocks like the site icon and menus, I think, that are more of a global presence rather than related to the theme. But this is what we get when we install 2022 and enable this full site editor. So we just see this one editor link there. There's no customizer. The customizer has from that. If you want to get to the customizer, you can. It's still there. It's just the link has disappeared from the dashboard. So you can just append wp-admin/customize with a Z .php, and then you'll be able to get back to the customizer and change all those things that you know where they are. So whether they keep it like this, or whether they change it, or whether they move things around, who knows? It is in beta. You can see right here that it says the editor is in beta mode. Okay, so the customizer is missing, as I said, some site-wide components like the site logo and the favicon. They're kind of bundled into the theme here. So for example, here I'm editing the homepage, which has the header and footer templates showing. And this is a picture of the header here. Now, what I've done is I've clicked into, there's the site logo, and then there's the site title kind of together in a row. So I've clicked into the site logo block here for those. Now, what I was doing is I had a look around the horizontal controls. So I wanted to change it. I wanted to upload an image to get it in there. So I was looking along those horizontal buttons, but nope, I couldn't find anything to upload. So then I clicked on the options, which opened the right-hand side panel. And I was looking down there, and there's ways to change the style. There's a few little bits of text in there. But for the love of me, I could not find any way to upload a new image. I'm like, well, how do I do this with the customizer missing? And there's no option to upload into this. And it wasn't until I brought my focus back to the actual block itself, and I noticed that the little icon in there, that was an actual upload icon. So the user interface, and I'll say this just now, the user interface for this new full site editor, it's not great. It's not there yet, because really, I didn't notice at the start that you had to click within that circle, and that little icon was an upload button. So you click on that, and then you can upload your image into that, and then you can change it. So it wasn't really obvious to me at the start. So there's some few things within this that kind of caught me out initially. The other one was the menu as well. So here we're looking at the right-hand side of the header, where the menu is. Now, this is a brand new website, so we've got the sample page, which is the default page here, so you can see that in the menu. Now, when you first look at it, without clicking on anything, it's not really very obvious that that's the menu in there until you actually click on it, or if you get the list view on the left-hand side, you can start to see all the blocks in there. Now, because the customizer is missing, then you're basically editing and managing the menu items within this little block here. Now, I'm not keen on that myself. I mean, I was around for WordPress for like one of the very first versions where you had the menus down under Appearance, and then you had like the whole screen that you could edit menus and drag them up and down. And then we got the customizer, which everyone hated, now everyone loves. But in the customizer, you've got a pretty restricted view for the menus. When you click on things, you get another panel that slides out. However, now with the full site editor, in this beta version, you've got that little box to basically manage all your menus in. So you might not be able to see it very clearly because this is a black background. Again, this goes to the user interface. It needs feedback, it needs improvement. But if you look very carefully at the word sample page, there's a little plus button. And that little plus button is where you click to then add new items to your menu. So the visual component of that is not very good. It's not very accessible. It took me a while to actually figure what to do with that. And there's also no tutorials online for 2022 or this full site edit as well. So a lot of people are not chuffed with this particular thing. And I must say, managing the menu within that kind of small area, and then you've got, once you add an item, then you can click on it with, you can see on the left-hand side here, we've got the navigation block, and then underneath that is the navigation items. Once you click on that, other things kind of do pop up all over the place. That allows you to change the menu items, but it's not great. It needs a lot of improvement, I think, for that. So I know this is all beta and it's all up for change, but I kind of expect a little bit more from 2022, a little bit more polished. I think it certainly does feel like it's been chucked out the door far too quickly into a production release for those. Okay, moving on. Now, I talked about the new global styles Theme.json file back in November last year, and with 2022, it's at version 2 now. So the last one was version 1, this is now version 2. And this little file has been extended, but it's now got a graphical interface, and that is all bundled within this full site editor for those. So whereas previous versions, 5.8, you had to go and edit the file directly with a code editor, you can still do that. And this new full site editor is bundled with 5.9, that's kind of bundled with 2022, that's all kind of merged together. That's got the user interface for change or for accessing the information in this theme.json file. So here we have it. So this is on the same page as we were looking at before, but we're now into typography. So I've clicked on the typography, and then you can see there's styles there. There's a couple of styles, a couple of ways that you can change it. You can change the text, you can change the links, and then you've got another styles box. So these are not 3 boxes that come up. These are the same one. I've just squished them onto the screen there altogether so you can see them. And within the theme.json file for 2022, it's only got a couple of fonts. There's a system font, and then there's another serif font in there. But here we can see that you're picking up that information from the theme.json in here. So you can actually select the stuff within the theme. So they've now started to bring this into the full site editor as a user interface, reading this little file within all these widgets. And that's the same for colors as well. I don't know if I've got colors here. No, I've got templates. It's the same for colors. So this has got typography, but if you click on colors, then you can access the colors that are defined in the themes.json. But the new one is layout. And that's kind of covered here. So to support the full site editing, the theme.json file is being extended to include the layout. And that includes these new header and footer, as well as the theme template parts as well. You can see there's a little chunk here. I'll just move this. So here, there's a little chunk here. It's version 2. Here's the custom template. So this is not the actual file. I've just chopped it up a little bit just so you can see. And it's defining some custom templates. It's got one called blank, and it's called one called page with a large header. And those are the 2022 template parts that you can see, that you can select when you're in the full site editor for those. So you can see those are well defined in the theme.json. So this is a little bit different from like a normal WordPress theme where you've got the PHP files that have the template parts. And in fact, they're not PHP files anymore. If you have a look at the corresponding template files for those, and you can find them in the 2022 folder, theme folder, and then there's another file called block templates. And within the block templates, you can see those template files. This is the code, the HTML code that's being output to the browser to render, and you can see here they're actually HTML this time. So rather than being PHP files, they're HTML, and you can see there's a couple of ones that I had in there. There's the blank HTML, and then there's the page large header HTML, and other ones in there as well. So kind of gone is the PHP for this block theme, and back in is HTML. Now, the new template part as well. So those are the header footers. These are the new site-wide template parts. And again, they've kind of been bundled into the theme, which is a bit strange because they're kind of site-wide things. But anyway, that's where they are. So they're in the theme.json file, and they've been defined. And here they are here. In template parts, we've got the header, and we've got the footer, which are the 2 global parts for those. And again, you can see those. Let me go back one. There we go. So you can see those here. So when you're opening up 2022, when you're going into the full site editor, the editor in there, then you can see there's an option to click on template parts, and you can see them here. So header, and we've got footer. There's actually 2 other ones there that I didn't have in the text files because it's a bit too long for the screen. But there's a header, which is dark and large, and there's a header, which is dark and small. And what they're doing here is they're demonstrating that you can bundle different template parts in with your theme. So no longer have you just kind of bundle a page and a blank and a header and a footer.php. Now you can actually give people options for different types of template parts. Here we've got 2 alternate headers that we're pre-bundling with this theme. So that kind of opens up a little bit more capability for new block themes, so that people can bundle a lot more stuff and give end users a lot more choice in how they configure their screen. Block patterns. Now, 2022, it comes with a whole heap of block patterns, and it makes it super easy for new users to apply different layouts to their website. You can view all of these template patterns within the full site editor within the block. So if you click on blocks up the top when you edit the page, and then click on patterns, there's a little button at the side. It says explore. And then you can then explore all these different patterns that's bundled with the 2022 theme. And in fact, there are 65 to choose from. So it's not just one or two, and they're all kind of bundled into these different categories. So you've got featured, you've got footers, you've got headers, you've got text ones, you've got widget ones. So they're all kind of bundled into these particular categories that you might find useful for the embedding in the different templates in your website. So for example, if you do a single page, or maybe you're doing a landing page, or maybe you're editing the blog index for those, then these are all predefined blocks, and they come with a color scheme as well. They come with a palette that you can just click on and it drops into your page. And all these patterns really is they're just bundles, they're just actually groups of blocks that the developer has bundled together in kind of a nice quick way that you can just apply a style for those. Now, at 65 is quite a large number to choose from within 2022, but there's even more if you go to the WordPress.org pattern directory, and I'll drop the link in there. It started out a couple of years ago, and it's grown quite a lot now. So if you are not a developer, not a designer, if you're looking for something different for your WordPress website, different way to display stuff, have a look at the pattern directory. There's heaps of stuff in there. I just kind of save you a little bit of time. I was kind of looking there first to see if there's anything that someone's done that's kind of replicated what I want to do, because it just saves a lot of time for those. And if you've got your own patterns, excuse me, you can submit them to the pattern directory as well. So that's all I wanted to cover. I want to keep it really, really quick. Almost kind of ran out of time anyway. But that's my very quick intro to 2022. So say last week I looked at the full site editor. This week we looked a little bit more in detail about 2022 and the stuff that's bundled within that. But they are very, very much kind of merged together at the moment. Very, very merged together. So the differentiation between the two is not clear. But again, this is a beta product. So as the feedback rolls in, I'm sure it's going to change quite a lot. But certainly, I wouldn't be using 2022 in any production capacity at the moment. It's clearly for me is not there yet, and there's just too much stuff that I think we need to iron out. But I'm very keen to hear your thoughts. Has anyone tried 2022? Any first thoughts about 2022? Any kind of thoughts about what I've covered here today? Maybe the kind of mishmash, the fact that it's a beta as well. You can drop some comments in the chat box below, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of a conversation. But if you don't want to, that's okay. I'll leave that slide up here. While you're thinking, if you want to drop some questions, you can get in contact with me as well. So I'm mostly on LinkedIn these days I need to change that. I've actually changed my handle, so it's actually Will Brown EU in LinkedIn, trying to match it the same as my Instagram and my Twitter as well. And there's my website, so you can get in contact with me. Gene's posted something. He says, thanks for researching this stuff. I won't use this anytime soon, but it's good to know. It is. So at the WordPress meetup last Monday, I was demonstrating the full site editor in 2022 as well. And there was quite a few people who were interested, not going to use it, but interested in looking at it. And I think it's good to keep up to date with it, because the way that WordPress is moving, it's going down this block, it's going down this full site capacity. And at some point, once it kind of settles down with the usability and the interface, you're going to start to see some of the other theme developers are going to look to see how they can then integrate that into, or should they, and how can they integrate that into their themes. So definitely the rise of block themes is going to be one to look at this year. But I don't think we need to worry about it just yet. And certainly, 2022, I think is more of like a beta test, give us feedback type opportunity, rather than like a proper production theme that someone would want to roll out. Dowie says, yes, thank you for your tips and tricks. You guys are welcome. You are absolutely welcome. Okay, next week, I am going to keep going, dissecting into WordPress 5.9. I can't quite remember what the topic is for next week. I think it's more about the new widgets and the user interface. but I'm going to continue on for 5.9 for a couple of weeks because it does have quite a lot of stuff in. So please join me next week for more WordPress 5.9 stuff. Oh, one last question. Good info in the JSON. Thanks, Bill. Hope to see you soon at the Microsoft building. Yeah, absolutely, Dean. Come along next month. That'll be fantastic. We had pizza. We had a good old chat. It was really, really good to reboot the whole WordPress physical meetup as well. So take care, guys. Thank you very much for the questions. Thanks for taking your time with me, and see you next week as we continue looking at WordPress 5.9. See ya.